Hi, my name is Gagan. Today we are talking about Agile spikes, which are time-limited research methods that helps projects succeed. This topic, I think, is super relevant to anyone working in project management, especially if you're using Agile methodologies. Imagine this, you're working on a project and you encounter an unknown problem that's blocking your progress or could potentially block it. This is where spikes come in. They're small research tasks designed to address uncertainties before they cause problems for your project. Now, spikes aren't about creating perfect code or spending weeks on creating meticulous documentation. Think of them as short explorations with strict time limit and focus on gathering just enough information to make informed decisions and move forward confidently. It's like setting a timer for a focused problem solving. Let's say you're considering using a brand new software library for your project, but you're unsure if it is compatible with your existing system. A technical spike would allow you to test that library, experiment with it, and determine if it truly meets your needs. That way, you avoid a potential problem down the line. Or perhaps you're developing a new feature, but you're not quite sure how the user interface should be designed. What's the most intuitive and user friendly approach? A functional spike could involve creating different designs, gathering feedback from users, and selecting best option based on real world insights. Now, sometimes you might encounter a task that seems simple on the surface but feels incredibly complex when you start digging deeper. This is where estimation spikes come in. They help you break down those complicated tasks, identify hidden complexities, and come up with more realistic time frame for completion. And then there are risk reduction spikes. These are all about addressing potential problems, those project risks that cause concern. Say you are worried about scalability of your solution. Can it handle sudden increase in users without failing? A risk reduction spike could involve testing its performance under heavy load, simulating those with real condition, and making sure it can handle the demand. So instead of just hoping for the best, spikes actually provide a structured way to address those uncertainties, gather information, and make informed decisions. And then that leads to a smoother, more successful project. But spikes aren't just about jumping into the unknown. To make the most of them, we need to be strategic and ensure that they're truly effective. One crucial aspect is defining the clear objective of each spike. What's your specific question you're trying to answer? It needs to be focused. Without a clear destination in mind, you're like wandering aimlessly, and your team is also wasting valuable time. Next, remember those time limits we talked about. Setting a strict time limit is essential to keep your investigation on track and prevent it from becoming endless. Time limits create a sense of urgency and help you prioritize gathering the most important information within a reasonable time frame. And before you ever begin your spike, you need to define a clear success criteria. This means knowing exactly what information you need to gather to consider it complete. It's like having your checklist for your investigation. Now let's talk about the spike life cycle. It's not just about random exploration. That there's a structured process involved. First, you identify the uncertainty that's blocking your progress. What's that big unknown in your project? Once you've identified it, you define the spike's objective and scope. Make sure it remains narrow and focused. Next, you estimate the effort required to conduct the spike and plan how you will execute it. This might involve figuring out who will be involved, what resources you will need, and what specific tasks need to be completed. Then comes the execution phase where you begin the work. You might conduct research, you build simple models, run some tests, analyze data, or try different approaches. Whatever it takes to gather the information you need. And finally, the most crucial step, summarizing your findings. You need to analyze what you have learned, draw conclusions, and share those insights with the rest of your team. And most importantly, you need to apply that new knowledge to your project, making adjustments and decisions based on the evidence that you have gathered. So now we've got a solid understanding of what spikes are and how they work, but where do they fit in the bigger picture of agile methodologies? Well, the good thing about spikes is that they are very flexible. They can be easily integrated into your existing agile processes, regardless of the specific framework that you're using. For example, in Scrum, spikes are treated as regular backlog items. They are estimated, prioritized, and included in the sprint planning, just like any other task. This ensures that they are given the attention they deserve and are tracked alongside with your regular development framework. If you're using Kanban, which is all about visualizing your workflow, spikes are represented as cards on the Kanban board, just like any other work item. They flow through your system like any other task, but they might be moved faster to unblock other work that depends on their findings. And even in larger organizations using scaled agile frameworks, spikes can be incredibly valuable. They might be conducted at different levels from individual teams to entire programs, and their findings need to be shared widely to ensure everyone is aligned and working from the same knowledge base. Now, while spikes are powerful tools, they're not without their potential problems. Let's talk about some of the common traps to avoid and some best practices for making sure your spikes are truly effective. One of the biggest risks with spikes is something called scope creep. It's tempting to start investigating every interesting side topic that comes up, but that completely defeats the purpose of a time limited investigation. Focus is key. Stick to the original objective, and if new questions arise, create separate spikes to address them. Another common pitfall is trying to be too perfect. Remember, spikes are about learning and gathering information, not about producing flawless production ready code or documentation. Resist the urge to overcomplicate things. Keep it simple, experimental, and focus on answering your specific question. And speaking of information, clear documentation is essential. If you don't capture your findings effectively, the entire team misses out on the benefits of your investigation. Develop a system for documenting your spikes, whether using templates, holding review meetings, or creating central location for spike results. Make knowledge sharing a priority. Here's the one that really causes problem: architectural drift. This happens when code written during Spike makes its way into your production code without proper review and improvement. It might seem like a shortcut, but it can lead to a technical debt and problems down the road. Clearly mark any code created during Spike as experimental. If you need to use any of it in production, make sure it's rewritten and reviewed according to your standards. And finally, be careful of too many spikes. Too many spikes can actually slow your progress. It's like too much analysis. You're constantly investigating, but never actually building anything. Find that right balance. So that means enough exploration to reduce uncertainty, but not so much that it slows your delivery speed. Remember, spikes are meant to help you move faster and make better decisions, not slow you down with endless research. Now let's talk about how to make spikes a team effort. After all, project success is not about individuals but teams. When working on difficult spikes, try having two people working together. Having different viewpoints and skills can help find better solutions and understand the problem more completely. It is also crucial to involve people from different roles in the spike planning process. Get input from developers, testers, designers, product owners, and anyone else who might have relevant insights or expertise. And once a spike is underway, give the people working on it the space and time they need. Constant interruptions can reduce a spike's effectiveness, so try to minimize distractions and allow for dedicated time to investigate and experiment. But perhaps the most important aspect of collaboration is ensuring that the knowledge gained from Spike is shared effectively with the entire team. Hold review meetings, document the findings, integrate them in your project plans and estimates. Transparency is key here. Make it clear how this insight gained from spikes are influencing your decisions and the direction of the project. Everyone should be able to see the value these investigations are bringing to the table. How do we actually measure the success of a spike? We don't want to just check boxes, right? We want to make sure that these investigations are truly valuable. Well, ultimately, a successful spike is one that helps you move forward with confidence. Did it answer the question it set out to address? Did it resolve the uncertainty that was blocking your progress? Did you manage to stay within the time limit you set, gathering the necessary information without getting sidetracked? And perhaps most importantly, were the findings from the spike actually applied to your project? Did they lead to a better decision, improved design choices, or clearer understanding of the risk involved? If you can confidently answer yes to those questions, you are on the right track. But it's also a good idea to track some concrete measurements. For example, Are your spikes helping you improve your estimation accuracy? Are they reducing the number of defects? Having some measurable data can help you demonstrate the value of spikes to stakeholders and identify areas for improvement in your process. Now, spikes might have originated in extreme programming, but they are incredibly adaptable and can be used in a wide range of project contexts. Even if you're not strictly following an agile methodology, the principles behind spikes align with broader perspectives of effective project management. In fact, the PMI's Agile Practice Guide specifically mentions spikes as technique for managing uncertainty and technical risk, recognizing their value in complex projects. So if you're thinking about getting your PMP certification, understanding spikes is definitely something you should focus on. They're not just an agile thing, they're a fundamental tool for any project manager who wants to address uncertainty and make informed decisions. I think the key takeaway here is that spikes are all about turning the unknown into the known. They're not about delaying delivery, they're about setting your projects up for success by giving you the knowledge that you need to avoid costly mistakes. I hope you found this video on Agile Spikes insightful and valuable. Refer to the article on Agile Spikes in the description. Thanks.